Hey, we're live. We're late. Let's get into it. Tonight, cover to cover, episode 2. Here with Highly a Comic Bro and Boatwright. We're doing Bat Out of Hell as picked by the community at random. But I've known this album for a long time. And I didn't realize how much story was attached to this album. I don't know if you guys did, but
I didn't. I learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I read a little bit on it and said, wow. I even heard an amazing story while just checking out Meatloaf videos, that I thought was an amazing story that I never heard and a lot of people probably never heard before. And can I tell it real quick?
Of course.
Well, apparently when he grew up, he was born in Dallas. He grew up in Dallas, and he was in high school in '63, and Kennedy was in town. And where he was going to high school at, one of his friends had heard over the radio or heard from someone that Kennedy had got shot. Mm-hmm. He's like, nah, no way. And so then they finally heard it for themselves. And it's like, well, the school or wherever they was at was only like a mile or two down away from the hospital that would be the closest hospital for them to take Kennedy. So they all jump in their car and start driving towards the hospital. And I guess at some point he said there was a guy in the middle of the road. And so they switched lanes, Then the guy, as they were getting closer, the guy got in the lane that they switched and standing in the road, and they switched back over and he got in that lane. So they eventually just stopped, and the guy came up, flashed the badge and said, hey, scoot over. I need to borrow your car, basically like they do in the movies.
Wow. And
so he got in the car and they drove to the guy drove to the hospital. And it turns out the guy was like a Secret Service guy. And drove to the hospital, and he said they parked, he ran in, and lo and behold, right over there sitting by itself was the limousine. Nobody around it, nobody. So he said him and his buddies, they walked up to the limousine, looked in it, seen the blood and brain matter or whatever, all in it. And he's like, there was nobody around guarding it or anything, So as they were there waiting, I guess the guy ended up coming back out. Hey, say, hey, thank you for letting me borrow your car to get here. What do you guys take $100 or whatever? And they're like, no, we can't take that from you, whatever. So they said, Meatloaf said, just give us $5 or whatever. So the guy gave him a $5 bill apparently. And there was 3 of them, Meatloaf and 2 other friends. So they ripped the $5 bill into thirds, and they all kept a piece of the $5 bill.
Wow.
And so I'm like, that is an amazing story,
Wow.
that I never heard. And I just come across it on him telling it on Mike Huckabee's channel.
Wow.
Wow.
Because I think the video was posted like last year or something like that. Mm-hmm. Pretty recent.
Biggie.
Hey, what's up, Biggie?
Hey, Biggie.
That is super cool. I never heard that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that.
And he said in the same interview or whatever, the same show, that he got into the music business because he went down to get a job working in a parking lot, like parking cars or whatever. And he went there to apply for a job to work in the parking lot.
Right.
And like his friend or somebody that knew the person who ran the business, I guess they had an audition thing there, and his buddy's like, hey, you want to, try to audition? He's like, nah, I ain't waiting, because the line was long. He's like, you see how long that line is? He's like, I wouldn't even wait in a line that long for food. So he ended up getting in front of the line, and he auditioned. Then he's like, well, how much, they liked what they heard. So he's like, well, how much is it, Oh, okay. He's like, what about the parking job? He was still trying to get the park, because it was a good paying job. So next thing you know, I think within like months later, he was like months or 1 year later, he was on Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the musical Hair.
Yep.
Does anybody know how he got his name?
Football. That's what his coach called him. Yeah. It was in a way it was making fun of his weight.
Yeah.
Because he was always heavy all his life. But yeah, it was a football nickname.
Can you call somebody Meatloaf now and not get in trouble?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, you couldn't say meat. You couldn't name a kid Meatloaf, and
In some scenarios, you can't even call a man or a woman these days.
okay, and we'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You're
But
right.
yeah, that was a new story for me. I'd never heard that before. The story I always heard was the wild relationship between him and his father, because his father was kind of
Alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic, but he took a lot of his aggression out on me when he was young. And the one story that I knew was that it was after they buried his mother, or not long after she had passed, and he was in his room laying on bed, and his dad came into the room with a knife and went after him with it, and he rolled over, and his dad plunged the knife into the bed.
Oh my God.
So that, I mean, I guess there was a span of time where he just isolated himself after he left Dallas, after he moved out of that area.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I read that his dad was he was in the army and had got discharged due to medical reasons, and then became an alcoholic and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, before we start, man, dude, your eyes, you're a good-looking man, dude. But watching you, my eyes automatically go to that freaking King Kirby cover, man. That looks amazing back there, dude.
Oh, I just got that recently from Amazon.
Yeah, I saw you put it on Instagram, dude. That your eye just, dude, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bio comic.
That is really nice, dude. Nice. Looks great there, dude.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Speaking of Kirby, where is it?
Oh, dude, I saw a great meme today on the Jack Kirby page on Instagram.
I snagged one of his Ghost Riders.
Oh, nice. Sweet. The top picture was the Rose from the Titanic, where she's kind of laying down and says, draw me like one of your French girls, Jack.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
And it's a picture of Kirby like this with his drawing pad up, from the Columbo show, I think, where he was a police sketch artist.
Oh, dude, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
On an actual show?
Yeah, I think it was Columbo.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that either.
Awesome. He was either Columbo or the Hulk, or one of the two.
Oh,
or he was they brought him in, and he was a police sketch artist.
Perfect. The hands would probably be real, very, very dynamic. And then you would see like a square head.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
He'd have his own style, definitely. That would be cool.
I forgot where I was going.
I guess we got to talk about Bat Out of Hell, don't we?
Bat Out of Hell. That's right. Well, I got Bat Out of Hell. Anyway, Bat Out of Hell released in October, so it's coming up on the anniversary of the release date, 1977, on Cleveland International, which is a subsidiary of Epic Records. It was recorded between 1975 and 1976, which was part of the story that I discovered. Multiple locations, Bearsville, which is near Woodstock, Utopia Sound in Lake Hill. These were all New York locations. The Hit Factory in New York City, and House of Music in West Orange, New Jersey, by the legendary Todd Rundgren, who wasn't just a producer on this album. I mean, he was heavily involved. Played guitar. He made majority of the arrangements. Jim Steinman, who composed it, apparently couldn't get the arrangements that were in his head out on paper. So Todd Rundgren took care of the arrangements of the music and so forth, because Steinman was used to composing for a different medium than music than rock music. And interestingly enough, I discovered this is not Meatloaf's first record.
It's not.
No. He had done a record 6 years prior called Stoney and Meatloaf with a girl that he was in the musical Hair with. Now I haven't listened to it. I don't even know if it's a rock record or if it's I don't know what it is, but I had no idea. I thought this was his first rodeo, and apparently it wasn't.
Wow. I didn't know that either. I don't know too much about Meatloaf. I looked into it a little bit going into this album, and I was surprised that Todd Rundgren, I never knew he was so involved in it. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Meatloaf either. I probably wouldn't have. I've heard a few songs off this album growing up, through the years, but it's probably something I wouldn't have got into per se, growing up or in my teens or early 20s or anything like that. But it definitely fits good now after listening to it. It actually sounds all right. It's pretty solid. I enjoyed it. I listened to it almost 2 times earlier before the show.
Yeah.
Back to back, it's a pretty solid record. I definitely give it that.
My first introduction to Meatloaf was Bat Out of Hell 2.
Okay.
And that the hit single off of that. And then after that, I had seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, which he was in, and he was in that before this record even existed.
That was my first experience. That's my first actual knowledge of seeing Meatloaf for the first time and hearing him was Rocky Horror also.
I've never watched it.
You ain't missing much.
You really?
I don't like it, man.
Dude, I've never watched it. I know the gist of it. I know the characters.
Some people love it, man. Some people are
adore it. People adore it. My daughter watched it not too long ago, and she was like, okay, it was all right. I don't think she was too into it, but I told her that's a huge cult hit, and I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I'm not real big on musicals. There's only a couple musicals that I can watch, Yeah. And that's not one of them.
Maybe I'll never watch it. I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to it. I don't know.
Hey, I might give it another chance. Like I said, I tried it when I was like in high school, tried watching it, and it's like,
the album. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just I found out about Meatloaf because MTV didn't have a lot of videos at the time when they first started, and Meatloaf it was a lot of concert videos, footage, and it was like REO Speedwagon. They were like on constant rotation. It was Def Leppard, the early Def Leppard, and Iron Maiden, and it was just concert footage, and that's when they started getting in Meatloaf, took the words right out of my mouth. I think was one, Bat Out of Hell, and then Paradise. You know, when I saw Paradise by the Dashboard Light, I thought I was watching porn almost. You know, when you're 12 and you're watching that video for the first time, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? You know, and it's like, it's almost like I was like, I shouldn't be watching this. I shouldn't be watching this. And then the baseball, they did do that one a little bit into the video because they incorporated the baseball footage in the video, and I believe that was later. But yeah, watching Meatloaf, it almost felt taboo for a 12-year-old kid in Hialeah. You know, it didn't. It was like, what am I watching? So, but it was great. It was something I had probably never heard at that time before, and it was like so naughty. It was so good for a 12-year-old.
when you're watching him, you can see him putting everything
into it, man.
Into it. I mean, everything you hear out of him is his heart and soul going into this, and you know those performances from that video and the close-ups, and he's just drenched in sweat, putting everything into it.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
Yeah,
I remember I've seen some of those videos too when I was younger, like on VH1 and stuff like that. They would play, and I was amazed too. You know, his singing, man. It's just like, I'm still amazed by his vocal performance on this album. You know, he's just got a powerful, great sounding voice that you wouldn't expect if you were just looking at him on the streets. That this dude, can sing like a champ, man.
Definitely,
he's got some pipes on him.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all that musical background and those many years that he spent on tour or in those musicals, because there's a certain, you know, back then they weren't all mic'd up. They had to belt it out just like an opera singer. And he met Jim Steinman through that. He had auditioned for a production that Jim was working on, that Jim had composed and so forth. And this album was actually composed from a musical called Neverland. And a lot of the players associated came from that musical, like Ellen Foley and Carla DeVito specifically. So we in my research, I kind of got that question answered, how that happened. Apparently, when they went on tour, Ellen wasn't available. So Carla, who had been a member of the orchestral choir for the musical, stepped in her place. And when they did the live performances, I don't understand specifically why they didn't just have her sing the parts instead of lip syncing over Ellen. But I guess maybe somebody had the bright idea that was the appropriate way to do it. I don't know.
I don't know, dude, because you do remember Carla DeVito a whole lot, you know?
Yeah.
The other lady must be like, shit.
Yeah.
What happened, you know? She made it her own.
Some other things to note on this is one of the best-selling albums of all time. And it didn't do very well in the beginning, but to this day, it still sells 200,000 copies a year.
That's crazy, right?
And that's phenomenal.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I also saw a comparison with Bruce Springsteen.
I saw that,
and I guess I never made that correlation until I saw that. but I started thinking, it does kind of sound like some of those early Springsteen records.
Yeah.
But that was probably aided by the fact that Max Weinberg and Roy Battan, who are members of the E Street Band, were on the record.
Okay.
And it was and Zan who made the arrangements to set up with Cleveland International, the record company, eventually. But I never realized how long it took them to get the record sold to a record company.
Really?
In 2.5 years, they auditioned this record to record companies. Wow. And somebody made the comment, I think it was their manager, made the comment that record companies were being created just so that they could reject the album.
Oh, I read that. That was
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did read that. Right.
That's such a great comment because, if it was being rejected that much, it kind of makes sense.
Too bad. Nobody could tell, man. It's like nobody gave it the time of day, maybe to really listen to it. Or what a mistake.
And I'm just going to say this: that Clive Davis,
okay,
is a dumbass.
He passed on it.
He not only did he pass on it, and knowing what this album has done over its history, 50 million records worldwide, still sells almost 250,000 records every year. And he tells the guy that wrote the music that he doesn't know how to write pop music or rock music.
I saw that, yeah.
Clive
Davis, aren't you a record producer?
He's like one of the big ones, dude. But that just goes to show you,
dumbass.
Yeah, dude. It just goes to show you just don't know sometimes.
Right.
You just don't know. They also, I also read, I'm sure as you guys did, the connection with the Who. There was a connection with the Who as well as the E Street Band. It was crazy. Baba O'Reilly or something.
Oh yeah. One of the songs they had was written to emulate.
Yeah.
Baba O'Reilly, and I can't remember which one it was.
I can't either. But it's just nuts, dude. Maybe Clive didn't understand what it was. Was it a parody? Was it making fun of itself? Was it a musical? What was it? Maybe he just couldn't put it in its corner,
Right. But as I said, Todd Rundgren, he did the arrangements. He was deeply involved in this record. And I never knew that. I knew he had produced it, but I didn't know how involved he was because he essentially paid for the record himself out of his pocket.
Crazy.
Which I thought was really pretty cool.
Did he just get inducted into the Hall of Fame? It was recent, right? I believe.
Todd? He may have. I'm not sure.
I think it was.
If he hasn't, he should be, like a lot of other people. But we've already. I'm not going to get into that.
We need to go there again.
Wow. The Stevie Van Zandt connection when he set up the meeting with Popovich, who was the head of Cleveland International. He accepted the album based on the spoken word at the beginning of you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I guess that's one hell of a sales pitch. If he just listened to that and he said, "Give it to us, we'll take it." And I never realized that was Jim Steinman that did that part. He did that part with, I can't remember her name.
Rundgren is going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Okay.
Class of 21.
Let's see if I can find that. I can't remember who the female voice was. I don't know if that might have been Ellen Foley doing the female voice in that spoken word, but Jim Steinman was the man. And
it says Marcella McClain.
That's it.
Is that how you say it? Marcella?
I think so.
McClain.
Yeah. Marsha McClain.
Marsha.
Yeah. Yeah, that I always got a kick out of that part at the. So I bet you say that to all the boys. It's just freaking hilarious at the end of what they're saying about offering your throat to the wolf. What? The cover. Let me see if I can bring that up.
So 70s.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
It says Steinman was credited with the album cover concept, which was illustrated by Richard Corbin,
who, interestingly enough, was a comic book artist. And he did a lot of work for Warren and not Videophile and Heavy Metal.
Definitely see the heavy metal.
Yeah, makes sense there.
Yeah.
Boom. So good. I read an article about it broke the whole thing down. I should have sent it to you guys. But I did link it below. They broke down the various things like the tombstones, and the font, and how they made it like neo-Gothic, and it was in a sense kind of not making fun of the name, but it just the way it was done. And the album's called Bat Out of Hell, but there's the bat still in hell, and they brought up the fact about the tombstones. Why would Satan have tombstones? Why would he have people buried in hell? That doesn't make any sense. But let me see if I can find that article. I can't remember. He mentioned how Richard Corbin must have at least read the lyrics, because there's more to it, more to that name than just the title, Bat Out of Hell. It's you like a bat out of hell, and he's exploding out, and the bat is so shocked he can't pursue the guy. is.
This goes right with those Molly Hatchet covers, those Frazetta covers.
Oh yeah.
God, dude, this fits right. And I think what was another band? Was it April Wine? I think they were from Canada. I think, and they had kind of same stuff. Gypsy Queen, or I forget the name of the song. And it was a lot like this too, man. So 70s.
Yeah, that's that stuff you've seen airbrushed on the side of the vans, you know?
Yeah, dude, totally.
Here it
I'll
is.
give you my answer in the morning. So freaking cool.
It says most likely evidenced by the description of the motorcycle in the song, which is taken directly from the lyric. I'm going to hit the highway like a battering ram on a silver black Phantom bike. This is important because of the context in which the phrase "bat out of hell" appears. Specifically, the protagonist in the song is escaping like a bat out of hell.
Right.
So you're I guess in a sense that's why the bat on the cover is kind of in the background, because he's behind. You're supposed to focus on the dude on the bike. In other words, he's moving so fast that even the bat, who is known for his velocity, is stunned at the scene and incapable of taking chase.
Yeah, it's badass, dude. Do you have a picture? What's the back look like? Do you know?
The back. See if I can find it.
I'm sure I looked at this cover back in the day and just was probably in awe at the record stores. That's a thing that's missed now, I think. Going to the record store and going through the albums and the album art and all that.
That's bad out of hell too. Oh, it's just a red background with the lyrics or with the track list.
Okay. You would think it could be like almost a wraparound cover.
Right.
Yeah, I see the live Bat Out of Hell live. It has that bat, a blown up picture of that bat, real big with the lyrics over it.
I forgot to get it out.
Oh, man. You forgot what? What did he say?
I don't know. Figure something.
There it is.
Meatloaf.
I have it on cassette.
Wonder if the boys and girls know what cassettes are.
Yeah. Boys and girls, this is a cassette.
Have a pencil or pen at the ready just in case you need one.
Right.
That is cool. I gotta say, Jim, you mentioned at the beginning of the show about it being a musical, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't remember that when I reheard it this week. It had been a long time.
The whole album, it's like you're listening to a musical. It's like it's so full. The whole album sounds full. Like there's so much going on. It's you sit and try to think of how they make it sound so large, and you know.
I don't know if I'm into it as much as when I was young. I gotta be honest. There's a few songs that I still remember fondly, but then I heard a couple of them. I was like thinking to myself, God, it's so gaudy, so and so eccentric that it kind of like it gave me it pulled me. I took a step back, and I like certain songs, and I was thinking like I don't like the whole song. I like sections in the song that I like better than the whole song. So it's definitely I've definitely changed since I was 12 listening to music. I still loved it, but not as much as I thought not as fondly as I remember it.
Trying to find a bigger track list.
Can you
Wikipedia is it's so small.
I want to try to share a screen. I don't know if I can do that or you, but that's the back of the album cover.
I love it. Awkward silence is always great for live streams. Yes, it is, Comic Journey. Yes, it is.
I don't know.
Is it showing up on my?
No. I don't know.
All right, hold on.
Donnie might be able to see it. We'll be able to see it.
All right, here we go. Hold on 1 second. I think I figured it out. Okay. Right there.
Well, there it is. I got to add it. Okay.
Okay, I remember that.
So that's the back of the vinyl. Meatloaf in all his glory.
Nice. And then there you can see that's the Cleveland down there in the corner. That's the record company, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. No, I don't know how to take this off. Do you?
Yeah, I got to remove it.
Okay.
You're probably thinking to yourself, "Oh shit, what do I do now? How do I get out of this?"
Hey, you don't want to share the wrong screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the music?
I appreciate it more now than what I did when I was younger. A lot more. Like I said, I heard some of his songs, and that type of music for me when I was young just wasn't my thing, just because it was a musical, and I never been real big on musicals. But I definitely appreciate it, and I enjoy it now. It definitely sounds good.
I guess when I was younger, I never equated it to being a musical. I just equated it to being just a straight up like a rock album, like an orchestral rock album.
That's how I did.
I just like you said, there's certain parts of it I guess I ignored maybe because I listened to it a couple times over the last week and it was like this. I don't remember some of this.
Yes, definitely.
Particularly like what's the last track? Was it For Crying Out Loud?
Yeah.
The majority of that song I don't remember.
I didn't remember it either. The last
some of the beginning of it I recognized, but maybe that's from listening to it later. But probably probably the last 5 minutes of it. I was like, what is this, a different song? Is this a bonus track, or what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I think it was like the last two songs. I was like, I'm not crazy about these. Robert Paulson.
Fight Club. His name was Robert Paulson.
Was it really? I thought it was cool that he was in that movie.
He did a great job. That movie, when I seen him in that movie, I'm like, damn, he can really act. I enjoy his acting.
Yeah. He was
You know,
really,
and I've been away from the whole. I've had Meatloaf out of my mind for years. Years. I think the last thing I remember seeing him do was either was Fight Club or I think it was a movie called Black Dog or something. I think with Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
One of the two. I can't remember which one, but I'm like, man, he's a good actor. And I was thinking after I was listening to the album, like, man, I ain't seen Meatloaf in a movie in a while. He needs to do something. Then I go on and see what he looks like now. I said, yeah, he ain't gonna be he ain't gonna be making no movies no time. He's in bad shape, man.
Is he really?
He's frail looking.
He's in his 70s?
Yeah, he's 74, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I watched that interview with him on the Huckabee show on YouTube, and he performed while on the show, and he pretty much had to lean against a bar stool just to kind of keep himself up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he really took care of himself. Didn't seem like it. I don't know.
Well, I think there was a span of time when they were making, I think the third record, which one is that, Dead Ringer or something like that, and he lost his range, his vocal range. So I think that was why it took him so long to put that record out. I want to share the
and also the last show we did, I mentioned I remember watching a movie that they did about it, and I tried finding it to watch it, so I'm still on the hunt for it. But they made a bio series on, I guess, the recording of Bat Out of Hell.
Really?
Back in, I think, like 2000, 2001 or something like that.
I remember watching a biopic. I think it was a VH1 biopic, like the late 90s. That's where I learned a lot of the stories, and I looked them up later and discovered because sometimes they take liberties, and some of the stories, like, it's the historian in me. I got to cross reference it, and he told some of the stories, like in the behind the music and stuff. But very popular in the UK, this album was. 522 weeks on the UK charts.
That's crazy.
So that's pretty crazy. It says third longest charting album behind Dark Side of the Moon and Rumors for the UK.
How many weeks was it?
522.
22.
So you're talking what?
10 years?
Yeah.
10 years on the charts?
Yeah. It peaked at number 14. So it's the sister album peaked at number 1, but it didn't do as well as this album. This album's, like I said, it sold 50 million copies. To this date, it's sold 50 million copies.
It's very Queen-like too, right? Queen kind of had this kind of feel.
Yeah, like the Queen to Flash Gordon, just
over the top.
Yeah, it's like it's full. Like that's the only best way I can say that is the music sounds full and loud. It's like as if you're listening to like an Elvis live show in like the 70s,
You had a ton of stuff.
So you got all the backup singers, you got all these people, you got the band, you got this, and it just like a Broadway musical, you know, it just sounds large and full.
I guess you guys have a favorite track?
It's kind of tough. Go ahead.
I had like 4 of them.
Yeah.
That I liked, that I remembered the videos for, so I kind of knew them. They were a little different than 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You took the words right out of my mouth. Bad Out of Hell. I remembered them. I remembered the chorus more than anything, and then when I had to hear those songs again because it's been so long. And that's when I was like, okay, I like this section of the song. I don't like that section. It's like really over. It's like a lot of production, I guess is the word, right? A ton of freaking production.
Yeah.
But I definitely have my favorite. But go ahead, you can tell yours. Say yours.
For me, it was kind of a toss-up. I liked majority of the songs on the album, but Bad Out of Hell is probably my most favorite, and then probably the Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard because 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You know?
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. You know, Heaven Can't Wait's a great slow ballad, and you know, I don't know, it's good.
I wasn't crazy about the ballads. That's definitely, they weren't for me. They weren't for me. Mine is Paradise by the Dashboard Light, dude. That's like no others. It's like it's so different from other stuff, right? And when you first hear it, and when stop right there, and you're like, oh, shit, what the fuck just happened, right? And you're hearing the baseball call and all that.
There was a commercial. I can't remember what commercial. I don't know if it was like an Allstate commercial or something. This was years ago.
And they used
it. And they used that song. It was a husband and a wife, and they were like cleaning out their garage or something. You know, and it's like that's the one thing I remembered about, you know, the Meatloaf thing. And it's like she was yelling about something. He's like, baby, let me sleep on it.
If you think about it, it's almost like electric music. And it's going, and then you're getting the groove and the beat, taka, 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 and then all of a sudden it stops, and then when she says "stop right there," boom! It's like it, and right then, and then the beat starts again, boom! It drops when she says that, and then it's just taka, taka, taka. Before we go any, oh, dude, it's almost like I equate the electronic to it, so it's such a great song.
That's definitely a great song.
It is. It's a all-timer. All-time song.
I agree with Boat. It's for me, it's a toss-up too between Bad Out of Hell and 2 out of 3. I love 2 out of 3. Great song, but Bad Out of Hell is such a good opener for this record.
It is.
It just gives you that. It's got that build up at the beginning, and then the piano in it is
It's very theatrical.
Exactly, because, you know, the guy who did the artwork is like, he probably read the first song, Bad Out of Hell. All right, I got my album idea.
Yep. That's
right there.
No brainer, right?
Yep. Halfway through, it's like, all right, we figured it out.
Yeah, I'm good. You're going to like this.
But yeah, like I said earlier, I definitely respect this album more now than I would have ever, you know, in my youth. Just because I guess my music has, or my matured a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great album.
More well-rounded.
It's definitely an album I think I could probably put on randomly here and there, you know, and just kind of sit back and listen to it.
Well, Donnie, do you like musicals?
I'm not big on them. The only ones that I normally like are like the Gene Kelly stuff, like Singing in the Rain and American in Paris. Other than that, it's like What's the one that Johnny Depp was in?
Crybaby. That's one of my favorites.
Not that one.
Oh,
There's
I love Crybaby and all the Elvis movies because I'm an Elvis fan.
Right. The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that he's the assassin, the killer Barber, right?
Yeah.
What is
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd. That's it.
Yeah. That one, and the only reason I like that one is because the character that Helena Bonham Carter played.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the original musical, Angela Lansbury played her.
Oh wow!
And I had seen footage of her doing that part with the where she's slinging the pies, the meat pies, and she just she blows it off the stage. It's just incredible. If you know anything about Angela Lansbury, check it out. It's just
Murder, She Wrote, baby.
Yeah, freaking right, buddy.
And she was in Blue Hawaii with Elvis.
Yes, she was. She played his mother, and she's only 10 years. She was only 10 years older than him.
It happens. It happens.
She looked mature, you know.
Yeah.
And Beauty and the Beast.
That's right.
What's another one? Oh, The Greatest Showman. Such a soundtrack that gets stuck in your head. You know, it's just that tight. And I'm not the type to go to the big cold appearances for Rocky Horror, but I am a fan of the movie. But you won't see me out there doing the time warp with a group of people. That's not no.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta watch it. I know there's a lot of little things in the movie that you throw stuff at the screen.
Yeah, throw toast and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I've always wanted to go just for that experience alone, even though I'm not a big fan of the movie.
Right.
We have an old movie theater here in town. Like it was built in like the 30s, 20s or 30s, you know, and it's like, it's beautiful. When you walk inside, you're like, holy crap, this place is amazingly beautiful. And I know a lot of times during Halloween, they'll do showings there. And they'll let people do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do that at one of the local theaters here. They called it, what my brother-in-law called it, Movie Madness or something like that. They called it. They'd go and people would dress up at it. And that's an old theater too. I think that was built in like the 30s. I don't know if there's another theater that's really old around here too, and I don't know if they do anything there yet or not, because that one's still active. The other one isn't. But so that's all I had for the album. Solid album. If you haven't heard it, check it out.
Definitely. And if you're not big into musicals, you know, just give it a try.
Yeah, give it a try. It's
like I said, it's not necessarily a musical, but it sounds like as if you're looking at a Broadway stage with your eyes closed. You know?
Right.
But it's great. I like it, and I respect it now.
It sounds like a show.
Yep.
You can see the production into it. I didn't remember all that, man, honest.
Yeah.
I did not remember that part of it, and it's big. It's in your face. It's
so like when this album was picked, you know, I'm like, I was actually kind of excited because it's like, okay, I haven't heard any Meatloaf, because you know they don't play him on the radio or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been a long time since I heard anything of him singing wise, so it's like I was excited to give it a try again.
I haven't. It's been a number of years since I listened to the album, especially cover to cover. It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it completely.
Yeah.
So this week,
I hear every once in a while. I hear like "Bat Out of Hell" or "Paradise." They'll play that centerpiece of "Paradise" on the local station, but not very often. They mostly play some of the other ones like Razor's Edge it's not Razor's Edge. I can't remember the later some of the later albums that he did.
The I'll Do Anything for Love song.
Yeah,
I won't do that. Yeah, but I won't do that.
Yeah, I was listening to that one the other day too. Love that one. Life is a Lemon.
Oh, I don't know.
True.
Is it like this? That musical, is it the same style?
It kind of. I mean, Jim wrote it, but it's more pop rock sounding than this one. I feel, and added to the fact that there's like, what is it, 16 years difference between the records. So
people change.
I definitely think Meatloaf, he could have blossomed in any genre of music, you know.
Oh yeah.
Especially for the 70s with the hard rock, you know. You know, I think that he would have excelled in that maybe even more than what he did with the bad. To me, I haven't heard much of his other stuff, but I'm assuming it's more kind of the same thing, right? Like the rock opera, like Comic Journey said, rock opera is like a great way of saying it.
Yeah.
That's when I hear Meatloaf or think of Meatloaf, that's what I think of. So I'm not too familiar with, you know, his whole library of music.
It's almost like he should have been bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, not just physically, but
because I don't think he ever gets mentioned with the greats, you know.
He's definitely overlooked, and I feel the same way with his acting. You know, after watching a few movies, I'm like, damn, this dude can really act.
Yeah, I kind of feel. What's the other guy? It's almost like Peter Frampton. He had that massive album, boom, and he did a lot of stuff, and he still actually, I believe, he's still touring, but that was like the peak, and that was it. And like Bat Out of Hell, he did come back with the two. I Won't Do That. The Bat Out of Hell when it came out again, Return to Bat Out of Hell. I forget what it was called, but it was not like this big. You know, this was massive, and that was it. You know, it's like it just seems like he left meat on the bone. You know, he shouldn't have waited so long. You know, God knows what he was going through, but it's just, I don't know. It just feels like it burned bright, and then it fizzled. But
who's to say that Hollywood, you know, Hollywood is, you know, they're all about image. Who's to say they didn't push him out?
Yeah.
Because he didn't fit the narrative on visuals, you know?
Yeah. And that's a valid point right there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they done that, you know, little side story. That's one of the reasons why Columbia Records canceled on Johnny Cash back in the day, because they wanted country music to be more appealing to women and this and that. And this was like in the 80s, early mid 80s, maybe. And that's when country music kind of started changing. And, you know, they canceled him because he didn't fit what they wanted fans to be appealed to. You know, they wanted to attract more women, more this, more that,
right,
to the country music. So, you know, and if you think about it, those early MTV music videos and stuff like that, man, a lot of those musicians were hideous looking.
Yeah.
But they were going on talent, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't on looks. But then when the videos came out, now you had to have the looks, not music.
And then as you get closer to the 90s, that's when everything just, you know, started all about image, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and that's definitely 30 years of possible, you know,
and
material for Meatloaf.
And we ended up with Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a straight up image thing there.
Totally. It was just about their look. and the singers didn't match the music. But that also Black Box, they used that one girl from the Weather Girls, and that girl's laid down so much music for all these acts, and she never gets credit, dude, because it's the model lip syncing is the one that people associate with the band, and it's I forget what her name, man, but it's crazy. It's that one lady from the Weather Girls. It's crazy. It's just the image.
And that's the reason why I don't really listen to too much mainstream music, for that reason alone, because there's so much good talent out there that doesn't get checked out because they might not look a certain way, or they don't sound a certain way. So I always try to keep it on the underground a little bit.
Yeah. Me and my wife went out to dinner today, and they were playing this song, and I go, man, I've heard people talking about this song, but I've never heard this song. And then I asked her about it. I go, this is that song? She goes, yeah, the song's massive. It's the Watermelon something.
Oh, yeah.
I had never heard that until today. And I was like, this is what was such a big deal. This song was supposed to be. And I was like, I've never heard this in my life. And she goes, oh my God, this was everywhere. I go, I don't listen to that, to your music. I just don't listen to the mainstream stuff. I'm always the last to know what's the hot song, and I don't really care.
Yeah, because it'll be out of date and out of style in 10 minutes.
I just don't.
Yeah, one of the next thing.
It's like they don't make legendary performers and musicians like they used to.
It's hard.
A lot of people don't write their own music no more.
It's hard for a song to stick out now.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Maybe it's because we're older too. I'm lumping you guys in. Maybe it's just older, but it's rare when a song pops on. It's like, oh, that sounds different. I don't remember hearing anything like that. And obviously we have, but damn, they did that song right. It doesn't feel like it happens as much now. But
we'll agree.
Maybe it's because we're older.
Yeah,
just biased. They don't write music the way they used to.
Yeah.
In the 70s, you kids don't know what's good music. That's always been going on.
Every generation,
Yep.
Every generation, dude.
Sociology 101.
Yeah, it's like the minute I hit 40, it was like, oh shit, I'm not.
Yep.
I don't know modern music like that anymore.
I'm the same way, man. I was just talking to my wife about it today in Little Boat. It's like, man, you sit back and you think, it's like, for me, the 80s had the best music, man. They had the best, hardcore punk music. They had, the thrash metal scene and, all this stuff. It's like, man, it's so good. And it's like, because it's like, I don't like the new metal sound, the new stuff, but I can get all over the old stuff and enjoy it.
You know what? I've always thought the 70s had the best music. It's the 80s. Because even their top 40 hits, those, and they're freaking good, and it's not, and you weren't into it, but it's like, God damn, Madonna was a badass. Prince was a badass. Michael Jackson, badass. Then you had that early hip hop, badass.
Oh yeah, that's another one, dude. 80s rap,
badass, badass. It's then you put in the new wave sound, and it's like, oh my God, freaking badass. It's still so, man. Put on Blue Monday by New Order, and that shit still freaking. You just listen to it. It's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
That song is just, and it has everything. It has sounds you probably haven't even heard yet. While you listen to it, and you'll pick up something that you've never heard on that song because they add so much shit. And it's just, man, I hate to be biased, man, but it's got to be the 80s.
Yeah.
Freaking the hair bands, like them or hate them, dude. That was a whole different. It was so many different scenes.
Yes, it was, man. It was a mixing pot of everything.
It was nuts, man. And it spilled into the 90s, but man, the 80s were just like, God, there's so many different freaking Miami bass. You had the freestyle. It was just so many different shit was just bubbling up to the surface, man. It was so good. So damn good.
Yep.
Iron Maiden. It was so good, man. It was a great time, man. Great time. God, we sound old, or at least I do.
Speaking of Iron Maiden, let's see if we can get that. I guess I better share that freaking thing first.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You're just picking the albums, Donnie's cheating. He's cheating, man.
All right. Let me see it. Oh, I guess I gotta.
So what happened? Did you take the one that we just did off and replace it, or did you?
I just removed it. That way, you know.
Let's see. If it's an album, I don't know.
All right. There's some of these that I haven't. Let me see.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
No, I did not spin
Oh,
it
I thought it was spinning. All right, now it's spinning.
All right, let's go. Boom.
Okay.
Wheel of Fortune. Oh, come on, Master of Puppets.
Oh,
What's second helping?
that's Leonard Skinner.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. Cool. I've never heard it. Oh, now it's Master of Puppets.
No.
I'll take Leonard Skinner. I like Leonard Skinner.
Second helping? Second helping?
Second helping. It's their second album.
All right. Oh,
So
and the one that says Rise and Fall, that's Ziggy Stardust? Is that what that was? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I wasn't sure which one it was.
So I guess the next album is Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. I have a history with Leonard Skinner.
Nice.
The first album that I bought was with my own money was the Freebird the movie soundtrack. So I think incidentally that was the first Behind the Music episode I watched too, and I was sort of snowballed by the realization that that band had a disastrous tragedy within it. So, but
I used to work with a fella an old guy that used to be, he roadied for Leonard Skinner.
Oh, wow.
And he that was his career, is he roadied for different bands for years or decades, you know. And he brought to work a picture of him sitting in the hotel room with Leonard Skinner wearing Ronnie Van Zant's hat, rolling a joint with him on a bed.
oh,
I'm
wow.
like, dude, the stories you can tell. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, so-and-so let me wear his jacket. We'd hang out. We'd do this. We go drink this and do that. I'm like, man. And when I was working with him, we worked at Target, oddly enough. He actually went up to be on Montel Williams' show. I guess he had a daughter that he didn't know he had that found him, and I guess that's from those days of doing all the roadieing that I guess he ended up making a baby girl and found her later on in life.
You still keep in touch with him?
No, I haven't seen him since like 2004 or 5 after Hurricane Katrina, because the place he was working at then, they went up to give relief to New Orleans.
Oh.
It's like electric company or something.
Montel Williams.
Yeah. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
All right. So next episode of Cover to Cover, we're going to be doing Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. Tonight we did Bat Out of Hell, just a classic record. Meatloaf, a somewhat overlooked artist.
Yeah.
And, if you've never heard it, I recommend checking it out. It is definitely a solid listen. You may pick up on some of the subtle nuances within it, and maybe you'll pick up on stuff that we didn't. And at any rate, I hope you enjoy it. I don't want to speak for Boat and Hialeah, but I hope you enjoy it.
No, I did enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It just wasn't what I remembered.
Right. So that concludes tonight's episode. I hope you'll join us, and we're going to stick with 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that works.
Me. Hope you'll join us 2 weeks from tonight, as we go over a great Leonard Skinner record. And in the meantime, get out there and listen to some music.